More to the game, season 5, episode 2 is here. I told y'all I was not going to be slacking. I'm back this week with the content. So give me a little round of applause for being on time, people. Yeah, back in season every week. Today's episode is going to be a good one. I woke up this morning, I was contemplating which one on my list I was going to do. And I had to do this one. Northwestern football scandal is up in a blaze. The football program is surrounded by a lot of scrutiny and controversy as their head football coach just got fired. And when I say they was over there doing some crazy, weird, wild stuff, man, you're going to see in the video. So let's start off by talking about the head coach, Pat Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald was a former player. That's his alma mater, turned into a coach. He's been there 17 seasons. And despite being there for 17 seasons, he hasn't had a whole lot of success, in my opinion. 110 and 101 in those 17 seasons. This past season, they went 1-11 and had their worst season since 1989. And he had 8 years left on a 10-year deal for $57 million. So he was getting about $5.7 million a year to be the head coach of his alma mater. And now he's out the dope. It all started when a player went to the university to report his experiences with the football program and what he was going through. He was whistleblowing the football program for hazing. And as you know, if you follow college sports or sports in general, hazing has been a problem for a long time. You've seen it in band. I know FAMU had a crazy story with hazing back in the day. Fraternity sorority, they go through their hazing. Hazing, definitely a big issue on college campuses. So the player reached out to the university in late November, and they launched an investigation. And from their investigation, on July 7th, 2023, they decided to suspend the head coach, Pat Fitzgerald, and they released a 2-page summary on their findings. But the local newspaper for the school came out with a story a day later on July 8th. And the very next day on July 8th, the local newspaper published their story on the hazing allegations. The president then that night said that the suspension and punishment was too short. Laughing out loud. And then a couple days later on July 10th, a player came to the Daily Northwestern to give his story, and they published it. And he talked about the racism and the racist allegations behind the program. And that same day, they fired Pat Fitzgerald, the head coach. Funny. Obviously, they were trying to get a little temperature check in, see how severe the punishment had to be by starting off with the 2 weeks. And then when more stuff came out, it was like, nah, he can't stay here. It's too crazy. When you get to the racism part, you're getting a lot of people offended, and we can't have that. So they went ahead and gave their boy the boot.
You need to leave.
Boot, boot. Got him out of there. Now let's get into the actual details of the hazing, because when I say this was despicable and weird and predatory behavior going on, it was, man, let's just get right into it. So their main form of hazing is called running. And as you can see on your screen, the player was speaking, and he alleges that much of the team's hazing centered around a practice dubbed running, which was used to punish team members, primarily freshmen, for mistakes made on field and in practice, would be restrained by a group of 8 to 10 upperclassmen dressed in various purge-like masks, who would then begin dry humping the victim in a dark locker room. You heard that right. They would dress up in purge masks and go to the locker room and turn the lights off and hump their teammates in a group.
What?
The player said, "It's a shocking experience as freshmen to see your fellow freshman teammates get ran. But then you see everybody bystanding in the locker room." The player said, "It's just really abrasive and barbaric culture that has permeated throughout the program for years on now." Another part of the hazing was slingshotting and bear crawling. They would have guys naked and have to bear crawl across the floor, or slingshot themselves across the floor with the resistance band. All weirdo sexual predatory behavior. All of it. Then they have this once-a-year tradition called the car wash. The first player said that some players would stand naked at the entrance to showers and spin around, forcing those entering the showers to basically rub up against a bare naked man. Upon entering the showers, the player alleged that players set up a hose they connect to a shower to spray people. It's extremely painful, the player said. The player also alleged that he witnessed and was forced to participate in what he called a naked center quarterback exchange, wherein a freshman quarterback was forced to take an under center snap from a freshman center while both players were naked. Let's just continue before I get into the rest of it. Other hazing practices that the player detailed to the Daily included a practice called Gatorade Shake Challenges, where teammates, often freshmen, are forced to drink as many Gatorade shakes as they could in a 10-minute period. The player alleges that he has witnessed this practice on 2 separate occasions and that he's never seen anyone not throw up either during or after the challenges. Having people drink a lot of Gatorades, obviously that's very dangerous, but compared to other things, that's kind of calm because, wow. With the hazing that these people were subjected to, it's amazing that this has gone on so long and no one said anything before, because in my opinion, all of this stuff is all sexual assault, rape, just a lot of weird stuff. Like, this is weird. I really feel bad for the players and students and staff that were victims in this situation. But the people that were doing this, like, this is very, very odd and weird stuff. It's not regular hazing type stuff you would hear in stories. You're not talking about people just, getting beat on maybe, or having to run a lot of miles or embarrass themselves in front of people by singing. Like, this is like all like sexual predator stuff. And there's no way the coach didn't know anything about it. He said he didn't know anything about the hazing that was going on. And these college coaches, they know everything, especially the things that go on in their facilities. They know everything. They know who parties, who drinks, who smokes, who cares about school, who doesn't care about school. They know. And I know it's a football program and it's a lot bigger than a basketball program, but those individual coaches on the staff, those position coaches, they know. They keep tabs. They know their players. And the fact that you knew that this stuff was going on and you never stopped it, and you probably were supporting it. And within the story, they talk about how the players feel like the coaches had to know, or the coach had to know, because there were some times where they felt like the coach were giving signals to have certain players hazed and go through the running. Like clap, I think it was like a clap above the head was their signal for they're going to get ran. And just the name behind it, running and ran, that's all like sexual terminology. Like, this is despicable. Like, man. To go along with the hazing, they had a terrible culture at Northwestern with racism. Based on this former player, Ramon Diaz Jr., former old lineman from 05 to 08, he gave his breakdown of his experiences. He said that he didn't feel like he could be anything other than whites. With the hairstyles, they would make black players shave their dreadlocks. They wouldn't make the white players shave any long hair. They used code words such as the Wildcat Way. They wanted people that looked and acted like them, and they would definitely ostracize anyone that didn't look or act like them. Diaz also felt like the team was very segregated. Most of the players on the offensive side of the ball were white players, and on the defensive side of the ball they had black players. They probably don't think that people of color and players of color can think to be on offense. They put them on defense to just run around and be athletic and tackle and hit people. It also gives you those Remember the Titans type vibes when basically you had the white coach versus the black coach, and the white player was the black player that had to come together. But that was a movie. It was set, back in the day, and it looks like in 2022 they were still doing those things and still had a program set up like that. Diaz also talked about here that he had a lot of racist experiences. He said he's going to a therapist. He said that they would ask why he didn't play soccer instead of football because of his heritage. And then when the freshman players had to get things shaved to their head for hazing, They made him shave Cinco de Mayo into his hair. And he also said that the coaches would ask him how to clean a dirty room because his family must know how to clean houses. Diaz said that he heard the same coach tell a black teammate to start wearing certain hats because he wasn't in the hood anymore, and said he had a gangster walk. All in all, your blackness was not allowed to shine through, whether it was how you carried yourself or the way down to your hair, player said. Now, my take on this story, this situation, Northwestern football coaches and players that were a part of this and were the abusers in this situation all need to be in jail for sure. They need to go to jail. This is all sexual assault, abuse, bullying, all of it. It's all weird too. It's all weird stuff, and you have messed up a lot of people's lives, sent people to depression, and you have to go to therapy. So you all deserve whatever you get. Hopefully there will be something brought up against these people because this is disgusting and despicable. But Northwestern is just a microcosm of what we got going on in the United States. As you see, since COVID especially, we're getting more and more separated. People are falling in line with their certain groups and values and pushing away from anything that doesn't align with what they deem to be, the right way of life. Earlier in the story, you saw that the university was trying to give him another chance, the coach another chance to keep his job. They didn't want to fire him immediately, but when the details came out, they had no choice. And they probably have a culture of things that are accepted there that they don't talk about. It's sad. It's sad. It's really sad. Fitzgerald and his players, they had their culture there of disgusting, despicable sexual acts and all of that predatory stuff. And it compounded throughout the program over years and years. It became really ingrained into their culture. The coach had to know about it, and he was okay with it, continue to go on. And those freshmen turned into juniors and seniors. They continued it on because the abused becomes the abusers in a lot of situations. Me, looking at the story and thinking back on it, right now I know I wouldn't go for any of that stuff. I'm whistleblowing, I'm leaving a program, whatever. I'm not going for none of that. Probably make a video about it, But me as a 17, 18-year-old kid going to a program, I don't know how I would react in those situations. I don't think I would go for it, but you never know. You're young and you're oblivious to a lot of things, and you don't really know how things work in other places. And you might get tricked into thinking that this happens everywhere, and you allow it to happen to you until you're the one that's doing it to someone else. And for those people that were abused, once again, I feel sorry for you because this is just a despicable story that should have never happened. My advice to anyone watching this video in terms of players, parents, coaches, vet these people that you're sending your kids to. Vet these coaches, vet these programs, ask former players about the program because you never know what you might be sending your child into. It is a crazy world. It's only getting crazier by the day. And there's no need, no place for any of the stuff that went on in this program. And don't let your child be the next victim. Please don't. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I would say I enjoyed giving it to you, but this was a tough story to deliver, a tough story to talk about because it's just so astonishing that these kids had to go through that. And it's probably not the only program that's like that. There's other kids out there that might be going through something similar right now. And I hope they come forth and end it, just like the players at Northwestern did. But like I say always, I'll be back next week with more content. I'm continuing to get better. Today wasn't as high energy as I wanted to be because it was a serious matter and a serious story that had to be talked about. But next week we're going to come back with something else that's good. And I hope you guys tune in and enjoy the content.